to the Milk and Honey Podcast. Woo! That actually sounds good. You know, sometimes when we have guests, like when they do the woo, they're not into it. But you can tell it's like if you were on a roller coaster, you would want to be next to Pete. You know what I'm saying? Like first row, hey! But we are so excited for episode 5 today. We have a very special guest with us. Please welcome Pushin' Pete. Pete.
Hey,
you know
Precious Price. Is it really?
It is my
Cause okay, great. I'm just like, okay. So Pete, tell the people who you are, where you're from. I heard the Midwest is in the building.
Yes. So I am originally from Chicago. My name is Precious Price. That's why we say Pushin' Pete.
I know.
The middle name is P too.
Really?
It is.
Dang, I didn't know that.
Alliteration. Like,
Yes. You had
It sounds good rolling off the lip.
Yes.
So I love that. So I am a entrepreneur here in Atlanta, Georgia, digital marketing consultant still. So I have been, I would say primarily right now, I play within the real estate space. So Airbnb, short-term rentals, been doing that for like 3 years. Recently went full-time. I wouldn't necessarily say with that.
Yes. We're going to talk about it.
So went full-time entrepreneurship June of 2021. And then from that point, it's just been me and my businesses. Like, I definitely do the short-term rentals, and that's primarily where, like, I am running operations and all of that. I have people who help me in terms of property manager, cleaner, etc. But then in addition to that, I do also, like, teach people about, number one, how to get into short-term rentals, but also, number two, branding. So I have a background in marketing and branding. Went to Indiana University, Kelley School of Business.
Yes.
And yes, I got my degree in marketing. So I absolutely love marketing. I love branding. Love personal branding. It is just, like you said, it is what I know. Like, it's what I do. I literally live and breathe this. So prior to even going full-time with short-term rentals, I was doing and working as more of like a brand strategist in my own company via the brand table. So helping other people realize, like, how can I make money from just who I am? Doing what I do already. Because all of us have a monetizable skill. Right?
Yes, very
we
true.
all know something, so it's like, get out here and don't just depend on the job that you have to bring that check in. We can all be making money.
Working hard, bro.
Because we're spending so much time on social media as it is, and it's like, if you're gonna spend so much time there, you might as well be making money from it.
Very true. Period.
So that, for the most part, is like, I would say my primary background, branding, and then of course real estate, and then I also built a tiny house.
Yes.
So the tiny house is a part of that.
We have our first tiny home community. Is that our first tiny home community here in Atlanta? That's coming up. It's huge though throughout the United States and beyond.
Exactly.
Super cool.
So I love the tiny house community. I designed, built, and then started renting my tiny house, and that's in the backyard of one of my investment properties.
Super dope.
So I got a whole docu-series on that called Going Tiny, and it's really dope.
It's dope.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yes.
And right now, I'm actually stepping back into that realm of like the tiny house space and all of that. So I'm building a company right now. Y'all hear the details, but building a company right now that's pretty much going to be a better way to connect people who are within the tiny house movement already, have a structure, and then those people who have this extra land. How can we connect them in a better way?
Super dope. We love meeting preparation with opportunity. That's when all the magic happens. So as you all know, this season is all about how can we share with our honeys and our homies way to flip a dollar, ways that they could better themselves, and everything about minding our Black business, right? Like, what is that about? Yes. So today we are going to be talking about branding, and we're super excited because we spend so much time on social media. Yeah. I got my notification the other day, and I was like, they said like 8 hours I spent a day. I said, what am I doing?
What are you doing?
I'm on TikTok. Y'all know I'm on TikTok. I've been trying to.
So what are you doing?
I'm on TikTok while I'm at work. But literally, it's crazy because you can learn so much from Instagram, the TikTok, the Twitter. You learn so much. So before we get into everything about Pushin' P, we got to talk about the buzz on the street. So as Malcolm likes to say, because I've been missing Malcolm, you guys.
Where's Malcolm?
He's in New York. He's in New York.
You're not even in New York during the right time.
He's not. And he says that all the time. He's just like, oh my God, I love it, but it's different, you know, because Malcolm Ogle, you know, like that's how I feel like he sounds in my head, like Malcolm Ogle. He is, of course, still into the whole tune of everything with music. So he's out there, but he called me for the Spell House drop for Ralph Lauren. He was waiting in line and thought of me. He didn't get me nothing, though. So if y'all see him on Instagram, please cut him up for that because he ain't get me shit. I didn't get anything.
It was cute.
I was so upset.
They're real cute.
So my friend Jania got some. So, I mean, if she doesn't look too hard, I may take it out of her closet, just borrow it for a day.
With those prices, it's going to be on her head.
Was it pricey? I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little up there.
It was up
It's
there.
a little up there, but it's about the same price, like outside of an outlet store.
Mhm.
Okay,
At the
yeah.
actual Lauren store.
But it was beautiful. Like, I love the jacket.
Beautiful.
It was
I love the pictures.
beautiful.
Like, it was like you had some more house in Spelman.
I hope Spelman at least, I'm pretty positive Spelman at least will have it, like, you know, I don't even know where they would put it on campus.
Upstairs. What's it called?
Upstairs? Upper Manley? Yes.
Upper Manley, yeah.
That's perfect. I'm going to give a suggestion.
Yeah.
Let me email the president. I'll give a suggestion. You can use it for Founders Day. Y'all, Founders Day is on Monday. Please wish a Spelman woman. By the time this comes out, it'll pass.
Wish a
But
Spelman woman. Give a Spelman woman some.
yes, $18.81. Send them $18. You know, like lunch. Okay, so the first buzz on the street that we're going to be talking about is the housing market craze. I know we talk a lot about real estate or homes or this, that, and the third, but we live here in Atlanta. Like, the housing market is so crazy right now. I know when last week we were talking to Justin and Austin, I mentioned something and I wanted to share it too with you, P. Like, I've been researching a lot about the Atlanta market and they're saying mortgage rates are going to go up, which now is going to create kind of like a wealth gap where basically people, specifically millennials, are going to be pushed more into renting rather than owning because now the homes are going to be so high and interest rates are going to be so high they can't even qualify for something that they have enough down and capital on to purchase.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
I think that's true though, because I actually saw a report as well saying that in Atlanta you can't get a home now average less than $300,000.
Yeah, the average price.
Crazy.
It is because, like, I bought my home.
What do people do during this time?
Beg, borrow,
Rent.
steal.
I will say, no, it's interesting
Well, they
you
don't
mention
wanna
that
rent
though,
anymore.
because if you don't want to rent anymore, that is why this tiny home movement has been becoming so popular because people are like, okay, I want to downsize. Like, I don't have the money for this quarter-acre lot, single-family home. They're getting more creative in terms of these unconventional home structures. So people are building tiny homes on wheels, micro houses, accessory dwelling units where you might move back in with your parents, but they build a house in the back and that's where you stand.
Amazing.
So that is really.
I would have killed for that as a teenager. Oh my God!
And it
Amazing.
saves a lot of money, but again, it's like that's kind of how, at least in terms of my research, how people are starting to recalibrate the housing market. That's why so much like the big boom in terms of these micro home communities and people starting to really change how zoning looks in places like Atlanta, because when you look at it, the term for it is really like exclusionary versus inclusionary housing. So single family homes, because it's like I got to pay $300,000 and
that's
it's sitting on this
exclusive.
lot, it's exclusive. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's excluding other people. It's not really like, we talk about community all the time in neighborhoods, but it's not really keeping the commune in community, because it's like, I'm gonna roll up to my single family house, roll into the driveway. I don't need to see my neighbor. I don't want to see Betty. No, I'm gonna go into my house.
Betty Crocker.
Exactly.
That one.
And then
with the sugar.
Then the other piece as well is like this whole like, it's crazy, like this whole, there's a term for it called not in my backyard, where these people who are like, okay, well, you want to build a house? Well, that's not about to be in my backyard. Or, oh, we're about to start. It actually goes way back to like racial pieces in regards to when Black people were integrating these white communities. It's really crazy and something y'all should.
Yeah. No, we really will. I think the biggest thing too, because container homes are now popping up as well. Like container homes are really big. I know they have a show on HGTV about that. But even with summer, because summer is such a hot time where people want to buy homes, right? They're like sick and tired of hearing, you know, people get crunk at 3 a.m. in the apartment complex. It's getting a bit too much now. It's July. Do we still have to do a kickback every Saturday?
Right.
It's getting a bit much. So summertime creates that, you know, presence in the air for the big kind of housing shopping term. Think of summertime, specifically here in Atlanta last year, think of summertime to double Black Friday in a way, right? In terms of the amount of volume of people looking for very small inventory of things. So when we think about it, do we think we're in like a home buying like kind of nightmare in Atlanta? Like, do we see that? Especially because so many of our friends who are millennials, they're getting the houses. They're trying to, you know, they're trying to.
Search for a house.
houses.
They're starting their process,
Yeah.
and right now, I do feel like we're in kind of like a craze. I don't know if I would call it a nightmare because depending on which side you look at it, like as a seller, it might be a really good time.
Right.
But if you're looking to buy again, because millennials right now we're at their age, mid-20s, like it's about time to do that. But there is no inventory, and it's not even just here in Atlanta. Like Atlanta specifically, there's less than a month of inventory on the market. That is why these prices are so crazy.
Yeah.
There's nothing for you to look at.
Exactly. I'm flipping through Zillow. I want to stay in the city.
People buying them on
I
my
wanna
same
stay in the
Zillow.
city.
Okay, yes, let's talk about that. Did y'all
staying in the city and I see maybe
One.
2 houses
Two.
pop up in one area, then I gotta go over to like across the highway and it's like one house pops up, but you go out to further places that you don't want to be in and it pops up a bunch of homes, but it's a place you don't want to be.
That's a statistic I just recently saw as well. It's like, for the first time, I think, like, in history, DeKalb County and Fulton County, the population is decreased.
Yeah. All right. So the next thing I wanted us to talk a little bit more about, y'all know that we're still, would you say we're still in a pandemic? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Because I saw something the other day and somebody was like, post-pandemic. I was like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I haven't heard about a cure.
I haven't heard about that either, but I have heard about a new variant. Anyways, so with that being said, we all recall in 2020 how everything happened in the Black Lives Movement and Black Lives Matter movement. It really kind of not only took off, but it started to form itself with being something that was just so spotlighted within the pandemic. So it was apparently reported that the founder, y'all, why y'all already laughing?
You look excited to report this news.
So the founder decided, no, because this is crazy. I could never think of something like this. The founder decided to go ahead with funds that were collected, get a $6 million mansion.
Yeah.
In California.
Y'all know we not
you seen
protesting no more in California.
Well, I
have
mean,
seen
California
this.
is different. Does a $6 million look like a $6 million home?
Shoot, even a $2 million home look beautiful. So it's pricey.
It is pricey.
It's
Yeah,
pricey.
it's pricey.
So that's what we doing now with Black Lives Matter funds.
That's a shame.
How we gonna
That's
do that?
exactly why I don't donate even to places that I don't know where my money's going.
I mean,
I don't
but
like knowing where my money is not going. So they say round that dollar up. No, thank you. Yeah.
You really click it like that? Is that the sound you make? Meh.
I say to myself,
We're gonna click this off.
so apparently this space that they purchased is supposed to be for the community.
Yeah.
Apparently,
For the
we didn't
community.
get an invite, but apparently,
Is this where the cookouts are gonna? You know, when everybody talks about, are you invited to the cookout or not? Is this where the cookouts are gonna take place? Because if so, this is a beautiful environment. I think we should all get an invite for next summer. I'm really Juneteenth. Let's go.
But it apparently it's supposed to be this space to curate more ideas and really build the movement into more than what it is. So I think a lot of people, at least when I initially read it, I'm like, damn, like, because they framed they framed it as if she had purchased the house for herself. And the woman that they were specifically referencing isn't even in connection.
Staying there.
That's a fact. But does anybody have to stay there, though? Is this just a house that is like we're using it for, I don't know, facility, events, whatever? Or is anybody actually staying there? And based on what I read, she said nobody was staying there. So I like to give Black women the benefit of the doubt.
That's so nice. That's so nice.
She is a Black woman, but it's just like, dang, shorty, dang, because you can't believe everything you see in the head. What's it called?
The headlines.
The headlines.
Well, the thing about it that I find very
So it's
interesting, I didn't want us to necessarily talk about the matter of factness of kind of how it's going to be used. Because look, there's a lot of gray areas amongst everything. So I know in order for them to even purchase that home, there had to be something that was put on paper that correlates with what they're going to do.
Yeah.
What I want us to talk further about is how the social media took that and ran with it and dragged that ish out.
Any chance to drag a Black woman.
That's a fact.
Any chance.
Did y'all see Will Smith? They said that he's like banned from like the Academy. It's
For
like
10
10 years.
years.
How you gonna ban?
Years. It just shows every time when Black people don't follow in the footsteps you want them to, then there's huge consequences for us.
Yeah.
And they always put it on us. It's not a threat. They actually do it to show us that they are are superior over us.
And that's
it's really sick.
It is
with
sick.
Black men and black
Exactly,
women.
because it's like you don't have, and I once read, there was something that I read where it's just like we don't necessarily have the room to make mistakes. To
Correct,
make
yeah.
That's exactly it.
Because then my next follow-up question, especially when we think about our brand, a lot of these people like Will Smith, the brand of Will Smith is his name.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
So like, do we ever feel like his brand can come back from what happened?
Absolutely. It's Will Smith.
Fresh Prince.
I personally feel as though this is a great...
TV since 17 years old.
This is a great opportunity. Even thinking about like Doja Cat. Y'all remember when all that stuff came out about Doja Cat or whatever?
Completely gone. Completely erased. Because
It's gone. But the thing is, I think it's a great opportunity a lot of times when those things do come up. Like if I was someone's PR, I would be like, this is a great opportunity for us to pivot in a direction that puts you more in like a vulnerable, it kind of rebrands you in a way, but now it opens up doors that you possibly never thought about, but now you can because you're on this kind of new wave of this is my brand moving forward. I'm more vulnerable. I'm more open because I went through something. Now I can do more projects I've always wanted to do.
I feel like, with the Will situation and everything, when you make yourself such a brand and only accessible through social media, you're no longer seen as an actual real person
Wow.
anymore. Like I'm thinking about Beyonce. Does she do regular things like mill about in her kitchen, take the trash out? Does she do things like
That's
that?
so true.
Like, does she even wipe her own ass?
Does she cook? Does she cook for Jay and Blue?
Exactly.
I wanna know this.
Like how involved is she as a mother? Like it just takes away that humanity when you just you focus on building yourself as a brand and not as a human. So when you make mistakes like this, as any human would, we villainize you for it because we don't see you as that. So is that a sign? Like
no, because I feel like it's a question on us as an audience and the onlookers. Like, why is it that we feel we need so much access in order to look at someone as humane? In order to look like, just because, for instance, with Beyonce, she keeps it very private. Like, we know that she's married. We know she got kids. But do you see them? Do you see her flaunting it there? No, and it's not a matter of like, oh, well, why doesn't she? And what is she hiding? No, it's like you're just living and enjoying life rather than looking at it through some screen.
Right.
And I think that's the question that we have to look at ourselves is, again, how are we really using social media? Are we using it as a way to compare and say like, okay, this is somebody's life, or are we really realizing that social media is just a highlight reel?
It
That's
is.
it.
Yeah.
It's a highlight, and I'm not gonna tell you all the bad.
No, we can't. We can't do that because people aren't going to be as interested, right? And in a way, social media buys you clout.
I think people be like, but I think it's like really none of your business. But you like, but people would be because like, oh, I go through the same thing as well.
Like the relatability of it.
Yeah.
Someone that has tons of followers making money. I'm glad you're going through the same thing as me.
Yeah.
Because as much as we don't want to admit it, people use social media to compare. It's like I'm comparing my life to yours. I'm comparing your life to this person. And it's like when you don't show them, now they have nothing to pull on. So it's like, is her life better than mine? And now you're making up things. And that's why we hear so many rumors about Beyonce, for instance, because you don't know what to say. So I'm just going to pull something out my ass.
But then it's like the crazy part about your brand or like when something happens is like you'll go in through a process of rebuilding kind of like that. That respect and that brand. But then when you think about somebody like Beyonce, because there's so much that she's put out where her brand is just like stamps, it's like there's a certain level of respect also that comes with your brand. Right. And I think that's an incredible thing to think about.
With exclusivity comes that stamp of like,
it's like caviar.
Yeah.
Have I ever had caviar? No.
The less accessible.
But it looks nice. Ooh, I feel expensive when I eat it. Whole time, it could not be expensive, but we have perceived it as that.
Literally.
That's so crazy. Okay, so the last thing we're going to talk about before we get into today's topics was... It's so wrong. We have Judge... No, what do we nicely like to call her now?
Oh, Superior.
Judge Jackson.
Judge Jackson. Was it Superior Court?
Yes, thank you.
Justice.
Superior Court Justice
Jackson.
Thank you.
Address it properly.
Thank you. So the thing is that not only was this an incredible win for Black women to have our first in the office, but it was an incredible win to have it as well too announced by VP Kamala. I thought that was amazing. And then I think I saw that what is his name? He's also Senator
yeah, I think I know.
It was Senator for Atlanta though, the Morehouse grad.
Warnick.
Warnick.
Oh yeah.
There's a rep. So I also
Ralph Lauren.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that it was incredible that I think it was Kamala that charged him to write a letter to his daughter about the historic day.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's incredible when you do, like, even Cory Booker, like, just seeing, he's like, I see my aunt. It's hard for me when I look at you not to see my aunt, my mother, my sister.
Mm-hmm.
It's an incredible thing, not only what representation creates, but as well, too, just how powerful that can be for when we think about, like, our children and next up, like, that's an incredible thing to see people that look like you in positions like that, because it makes it possible.
I'm a firm believer you can't be what you can't see. You got to see it first. You got to
true.
see it. You got to make it real. See that it's possible.
Right.
So I think as well too, when looking at this entire experience and how you all saw like how they did comparisons amongst like the different people who are currently on, and then we have the Judge Jackson. I thought it was incredible to see that she checked all the boxes, but as Black women, we still need to be considerate. We still need to be kind in how we say things. And it makes me then wonder about us as people in society and kind of like our brand of Black women. It's like, we could just take on so much. We could just have so much hurt. We could just do so much. And it's like, okay, well, that's kind of expected of you. I need to do more to be as equal. And that's a crazy thing to think about.
There's always some other level that you have to jump to, even when you jumped all the levels. You have all these degrees, you have all of the credentials, you have all of the experience, but there's still going to be some other hurdle that you have to jump through. As I'm a minority, like just Black woman, Black man, there's always another hurdle that is being placed in front of
For sure. Feels like Jumanji, but I guess I mean, I don't know. It's like next level. Thank you.
Exactly.
Next level. Thank you.
You thought you got a coin and that was it.
It was like, this coin's only going to take you so far. Okay, so the first section is called Push and Pee. I just feel like we should just say that the whole time.
I feel like we need to play that. I was hoping
Push
it would
and
come
pee.
out to that.
Push and Pee. Hey, we gonna talk to Cliff. Maybe you could put a little hey. That was funny. I feel like, we're in the ring or something. Okay, so we want to talk a little bit more about, the instances where opportunity meets work ethic. Now, last week, I just want us to continue on with what we learned, which is that work ethic and passion really does create an environment for you to do well things, right? So not only things that you want to do, but be good at them, be profitable at them, and help to make other people profitable at them. A lot of people don't understand how big of a skill it is to teach somebody else what it is that you know.
Absolutely. Huge. It's a huge skill.
Because you have to be teachable yourself to know that I need to learn the best of my ability, because you have to be a subject matter expert in a way. And then now you have to transfer your knowledge in a way that is comprehensible to somebody who doesn't know.
Exactly. It's almost like you become even better once you start teaching what you already know too.
That's why I always have so much respect for teachers. Because it's just like, I would never want, like, I don't even know how to do fractions anymore, to be completely honest with you. So when we think about it, just in general, in my state, like, teaching just allows you a different way of communicating. And I think that's such a great thing. So I want us to first, because you did talk about it a little bit, how the Airbnb business, very big right now. And this will be our only kind of thing on here before we move fully into branding. But can you share a little bit more about how you got into the business, like opportunities for success? But what is it that you learned about the business that worked well for you? Like it clicked for you and you were like, bet, I'm going to run with this. And now it's created so many more doors for you to think about other ways.
Okay. I feel like through kind of telling how I got started, I feel like it would answer all of those questions. So I got started within Airbnb way back in February 2019, I believe, is when the Super Bowl came to Atlanta. So prior to then, I was a little spotty on Airbnb. I had maybe rented a space here, rented it there. But Super Bowl is really when I was like, all right, I need to dive into this. And that is because, obviously, we know Super Bowl came here to Atlanta, but so many people, and I had just moved to Atlanta in July of 2018.
Wow, so you are already rolling.
Exactly. I was new, so a lot of my friends who are already here, they were like, yeah, I think I'm gonna put my house on Airbnb. They're like, yeah, I'm gonna put my apartment on there too. It's like a lot of people are coming, the prices are crazy. I'm like, you know what? I want in on that money too. And people who know me know it's
that's
like
how she talk about it too.
No,
literally, Pete, look in the camera and do that because
I want in on that money too.
That's literally how she says it.
Every time.
I want in.
Every time I want.
She does like the Tasha eye. You know how Tasha does the little arched
Tasha
eye? She does the Tasha eye. That's what I call it.
Because again, people know it's like I like to say like money, marketing, and mindset are my thing. That's my jam. I love it.
Mindset is important.
Alliteration.
I love it.
We'll put it at the bottom for you all to collect. Dot them out.
So I got started February 2019. Super Bowl came. I'm like, cool. I want in on that bread. So what I did was I then started setting up my apartment, and it wasn't much to set up. It was a small apartment, less than 700 square feet. It was right between like Midtown and Buckhead, so that Lindbergh area.
Okay.
Like so
that's a really lucrative area.
It was amazing. Right off of the interstate. It was gorgeous. That was my very first, I like to say, big girl apartment. So I loved that apartment. It was amazing. But it also made me a lot of good money. So when I put it up on Airbnb for the Super Bowl, I just did it for like, I think like a week or a weekend. But after I had saw like it got booked literally immediately. Again, it's the Super Bowl.
Right.
Got booked immediately. I'm like, whoa. And at that point, from that weekend, I was able to make nearly, if not more than my rent. So I'm like, okay, cool. This is something I need to be a part of.
You living here though, and you being here, where were you staying?
That's my next point.
Okay.
So exactly, I got you, girl. So from that point, when I actually rented my space out, I was not there. I was couch surfing. So I went to friends, couch surfing, packed a bag every weekend.
Spend a night bag. Girl making money while she sleep on that.
Yes, no,
that is hilarious.
So pack that spend a night bag, and at that point, for the next couple of weeks, I had started renting it out because from the Super Bowl, I'm like, okay, cool, like we making rent. I don't have to pay literally. Like you get money hungry, you like, okay, cool, like I'm about to keep renting it out. So huge shout out to my friends who I was couch surfing with because they know like, hey, I'm here again, and you let me stay for free. I'll bring you a bottle of wine, but I'm making my money over at my apartment. And I was making that money and pretty much stacking because I still, at that time, was working full-time as a consultant. You remember. So I was still working full-time.
That's how we met.
So at that point, I'm like, okay, cool. I was not on a travel project at the time, but then I ended up getting onto a travel project probably like a few months later. But let's move it back to like February, March. So it's still February, March. It's right after Super Bowl. I had continued to rent my space. I then get an email from the leasing office.
Just about to ask you, Shorty, because I just know these places aren't allowed.
Exactly. What they say?
And when I did it, I knew I wasn't supposed to do it, but I'm like, like everybody's doing it. And this is before, like, I really feel like this was before the wave of everybody coming into Airbnb.
Right.
Yes.
Everybody's trying to do it with their own apartment. So
exactly. So it was before that. So before that, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, they won't find out. Like, who cares? They care. They care. So at that point, they sent me an email, and the email was just a warning. Because for the most part, you gotta understand it's Super Bowl. So I wasn't the only person doing it, and they weren't about to kick all of us out. So at that point, they're like, hey, we saw your list and just want to let you know you're not supposed to be doing that. You need to take it down.
Not a slap on the wrist.
It was a slap on, but I was grateful. They did not charge me or anything, and after that, I really started seeing more stories of people getting those charges, getting evictions, getting kicked out, and I'm like, wow, I'm grateful that all I got was a warning, and all I needed was a warning. I'm not somebody that's like, okay, I'm gonna still keep doing it and try and get. No, they told me once.
You stopped.
That's it. I stopped, and at that point, that is when I decided I need my own house. I need my own house so I can do what I want and I can rent it how I want. And then on top of that, if this little space right here, less than 700 square feet, is making me. I can only imagine how a house is. So at that point, that's when I started researching how can I get started buying my first property. So at that point, I was researching. I will not say that enough times. Research the areas, research how you are wanting to get started because this is my first time buying a home.
And this is 2019.
2019. So I'm looking at like first time home buyer programs and all of that, which I was very sad because it's like a lot of it you don't even realize. So many people talk about these first time home buyers programs. You don't qualify.
Those who can, so those who probably can't afford the medium rate right now going for homes, so that 300 plus, even to qualify for a home 300 plus, you need to be making at least like 60s, 70s up. People like that do not qualify, normally do not qualify for first time home buyer programs.
If you're making 60, 70 and up?
No, because first time home buyer programs, the majority of them, unless it's like, there are particular programs geared towards working professionals like teacher programs, medical profession programs, lawyer programs, which they give you a particular type of loan program because they know a guaranteed based on your skill set, you can pay it back. And so they give you a more flexible loan. However, for first time home buyer programs, unless you're buying in like a rural, unless you're buying in a particular area that's like underserved, and you can fidget a little things. No, you're not going to qualify.
So if you have a pretty good job, but you never bought a home, but you want to qualify for the first.
What they look up.
What a lot of times too, though, what's a good thing is what you'll see people do, which personally I know from when we searched homes, new construction homes. A lot of new construction homes, what they'll give you is amount towards your closing costs.
Yeah.
They may, pull up in a fridge for you, a microwave, you know what I'm saying? Maybe not a washer and dryer, but they'll incorporate a lot into your closing costs if you go with their preferred lender. That is now something I think that's why you notice a lot more millennials in like new construction townhomes and those things, because closing costs right now are very high.
Yeah.
So think about, those type of entities. But yeah, it is very difficult as a first-time home buyer. If you are making within the medium range right now, you don't have the full capital. You have to come up in different ways.
Yeah.
But we have friends like Grantley, all these other people where they did like 0% down type loans. It just means that your mortgage is going to be higher. It just means that you'll have to pay for closing costs.
Fine because you're going to pay. I'd rather 0% down.
Well, the thing is sometimes people want to walk in, and Precious will talk about this. Her home, I remember. She did a particular type of loan program too, where it allowed for her. She actually, when she puts down the money, it's more principal in there, and you want equity walking in. You want that money,
because at that point it's like looking at what you're paying now versus over time. For me, I had a lot of prep time in order to say like, okay, I know I'm getting ready to buy a house. I'm saving. I'm doing this because I was researching. So at that point, I didn't do 0% down. I put as much down as I could because I wanted my interest rate to drop even more. That is what, like, you are always, like, it's a trade-off. Exactly. Like, it's a trade-off.
You see how high interest rates are now, though? That is insane to walk away from. Like, it's insane.
Okay, so where did you get the house? The first house you got? So how did it start? Like, the furnishing it and everything? How much money was taken out?
Oh, my God. You don't even think about, because you think about, like, okay, I'm going to get a house. And you forget, like, now you in the house and it's empty. Like, oh, damn.
Like you Will Smith when he walked out on Fresh Prince, you just looking with your hands in your hips like, what we gonna do with this today? Oh my God.
No one ever talks about
that.
So I ended up closing on the property in October of 2019, and it was crazy.
That was quick. That was so quick. She said summertime, I'm done. I'm here. I'm here.
Had a house at the end of 2019.
Yes.
Period. So I closed on that house October 2019, and I like to tell people, especially first-time home buyers, because I'm sure that's a lot of who your audience is, right? Do not try. We try to talk to other people about how their home buying experience is, as you should, but please don't try to use that as a benchmark for how yours will be.
Yes.
Every single person's home buying experience is going to be different, and that's just what you have to look at. So my home buying experience, like, it was cool, I would say. It was cool.
She said it was cool. Y'all, every home buying experience is a shit show.
Literally.
They just wrapped it up nicely to tell y'all it's not. It's a shit show.
It is.
Things will happen.
Like, how did you find your home?
So
I'm driving around.
So
parents used to do it.
I really.
love that.
So let's get in. It's a lot of detail here, but so let's get into it. So I told you I did a ton of research in order to identify where I wanted to buy my home. I did a tour of the city. I told you I had just moved there.
Yeah, you didn't know.
Exactly. I didn't know. And mind you, when I moved, like immediately when I moved, before I moved, my mom was already telling me like, you need to get a house. You're about to be paying all that money in that small apartment. Get a house. I'm like, I want to be young. I want to get an apartment.
Like, I'm not trying to
and then you
mow lawn or whatever, do the upkeep, be outside the city.
It's worth it though.
It
long
is.
term.
In the long term, it is worth it. It's crazy. So I ended up closing on the property. Like I said, the closing experience was cool. I'm grateful that I did it, but I cried in my car after closing. It was just a lot. And then on top of that, you gotta understand, I'm not from here, so I didn't have family going through this. Like, I was going through this all by myself, and I was 22 at the time. So it was a lot.
Young. And she got it done.
It was a lot, but I did get it done. And from that point, like, I knew the piece in my mind was a lot of people start buying for their first home, and it's like, okay, well, I want this, and I want this, and I want this. No, I knew that my first home was something, this is just an investment property. This is not mine. Like, yes, I might stay here sometimes, so I definitely want it to be comfortable, but this is something that I'm getting as an investment, and I'm immediately putting it on Airbnb. So once I got in the house, I'm like, okay, cool. It was turnkey ready. There really wasn't much for me to do once I got in. There were a few small repairs, but other than that, we were just furnishing. So when I was furnishing, of course, I already had my bed set, but it was a 3-bedroom. Mind you, I'm coming from a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom to a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bathroom house. So at that point, yes, I couldn't tell you how much I've spent because I didn't set up so many units at this point, but I will tell you it was not a ton because number one, my mom is an extreme couponer, and number two, I like to purchase things on a budget. Like we're looking on Facebook Marketplace, we're looking in liquidation stores, we're looking in outlet stores.
That's a major plug, y'all, especially for investment properties.
Absolutely, and there's so many. So I ended up purchasing a house on the south side. It's right off of Metropolitan Avenue, not too far at all.
Southside Princess.
Yeah, so south side is absolutely amazing. It's literally just less than 15 minutes from downtown, less than 15 minutes to the airport. It's a prime location. So again, I did that Beltline tour, and that's how I was able to identify the neighborhood I wanted to really look in, the different neighborhoods. And that's just a major recommendation I would have for anybody. Don't just go where it's like, okay, this house is really pretty and this and that. No, look at the schools. Look at how they are developing the actual area, because the one thing that I knew was I need this house to appreciate.
Yep.
I want to pull some equity out. I needed to appreciate, so I need to go where they are developing.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what I did. I closed on the house, like I said, October 2019, and by December 2019, I was already renting it. We had already furnished it. Everything was
That's
up.
a quick
It
turnaround.
was good. It was good, and it was literally moving like we were booked. From that point on, we were booked, and then again, by that time, I told you, I was back on a travel project. So that was the piece that was kind of crazy as well, as trying to furnish it and all of that while being on that travel project. But either way, that's what allowed me to then be able to continuously rent my home out at the very least during the week. And then I actually started traveling on the weekends so that I didn't have to come back. I would go like flex to my parents' house, flex to a friend's house. And at that point, I was able to rent the house out completely full time. And I didn't really have any living expenses because I'm just moving. The job is paying for the flight. So it was really like the perfect opportunity. Like again, like that preparation met that opportunity.
Period.
And there we were.
And a lot of times people don't understand with investment properties, like because some people look at investment properties and Airbnb is a great method. Some people do travel nurse, some people do other type of situations, right, where they do short-term rentals. But if your home is just there and it's appreciating and someone is paying for it, and you could even get $300 a month off of that, you give that 5 years and you look at the equity that you built, and it's a great investment. And I think that's sometimes what people fear about the whole, because it's like sometimes it's not, near-term gratification. It's just not there. Yeah. Sometimes it's more of a longer churn, and it gets you more out of it. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I love it.
So from that point, when I closed on it, just to close out my whole Airbnb stuff, right? So I closed on it, like I said, October 2019, started renting December 2019, shortly after the pandemic.
Yeah.
So March 2020. So March 2020, like, we had some really good months, and I remember, like, by the time March 2020 had hit, I was already slated to bring in about $13,000 via Airbnb for the house. Just there. So when it hit and when they pretty much put like a stop travel and all of that, I was back at home in this big ass house. Yeah. Like 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, and I'm scared. I'm scared. I ain't got a dog, ain't got no man. Like I'm scared. Yeah. So at that point I was like, I need to figure something out, and that is actually when the idea dawned on me to put the tiny house in the back. Because I'm like, okay, I still need to rent this out, but of course with COVID I can't be here. I don't want to commingle with the guests. If I put the house out back, I could move into that house. I could still rent this house and I can get all my money, and I ain't got no mortgage. Yes, it was the perfect setup, the perfect thing. So I started designing, building all of that. Very long story short, we ended up we ended up starting the tiny house build officially in October of 2020. And of course, like I said, we documented the process. You can find the docuseries on YouTube.
Go watch it. It's really good.
Going tiny.
Wow.
Yeah, like it's pretty. It's very popular, actually, I would say. But people love it. But it pretty much details the entire process, start to finish, of how we started building, designing, and then later on going ahead and renting the house. So it's very fire. It's going to give you an idea of just how much I spent. Like, I go into all of the details. So we ended up finishing that tiny house. Like, I'm trying to give y'all all of, so in the midst of building the tiny house, I ended up closing on 5 apartments in
5?
Yes, five apartments in Midtown via corporate leasing. So this is what I like to say as well. Like, I do Airbnb, and I don't just do it one way, right? Like, with all of it, like, I've done Airbnb via renting my own space. I've rented other people's homes. So July, I actually did a rental arbitrage property. I closed on that. So July, I believe it was 2020 is when we started that. So I did rental arbitrage. I did the corporate leasing method with the 5 apartments. And then I've also built the structure, like the tiny house, to put it on Airbnb. Yeah. So really, essentially, I've done Airbnb every way you can think about doing Airbnb. I've done it. So we finished the tiny house March 2021, and we have been renting it out ever since. And at this point, already the tiny house has made me a little over $20,000 or $25,000 just in the backyard. Good. So it's been fire. And at this point, I will say, like, now like you had said, I'm drawing back. Like, I had a really good stint of about 2-3 years of going hard, handling the parties, handling all of the mishaps. But now at this point, I'm actually pulling back. So I got rid of the apartments. I no longer have the apartments in Midtown. It was too much. Yeah. Number one, working with management and having 5 in one building. Yeah. It's a lot.
That's a lot.
I underestimated how much, because I'm like, okay, like, yeah, we got 5. I got a team to help me. Right. But it's still just, it's a lot. And it falls on you. Exactly.
Like, I could see that being
even
a lot.
Even with the managers you have, like, even with supposed to be holding it down. And
because you
the cash.
No. Because again, I still had a big piece of a hand in it, even though they were managing the properties, helping me, making runs and all of that. Right. I still had a large hand in terms of these apartments are in my business's name. These apartments are co-signed with my name. Yep. So some things they just could not do. Right. So that's what really made it hard. So I ended up closing that just because I will absolutely say as well, being a woman in real estate, it's hard.
What's hard about it being the black woman piece?
So even for instance, when I did the tiny house, you'll see if you watch the docuseries, but I fired 3 sets.
Of contractors. I went through that too with my home, just doing renovations on my own part. I fired a couple contractors because sometimes they take advantage. Exactly. Sometimes there's a sensibility of, like, you're a black woman, you're doing this, like, why are you, like, you know, the whole idea of being a black woman and doing real estate, it doesn't sometimes come to terms. Real estate, though people may think, oh, the houses look nice, there is a lot of math and law involved in real estate. And the lucky part is, you know, your mom has been there and a great soundboard. My mom has been there and been a great soundboard. There have been certain things with my financing my mom would catch before a realtor. Anyway, we would catch it before. So I really do agree with that. It's hard being a woman.
It's a lot. And for me, and again, understand that, like, prior to doing this, I was still in consulting. My primary passion is marketing and branding. Even though the Airbnbs were making me so much money, this isn't something I just wanted to do for the rest of my life. So even though I had quit my job and that's really what was helping, it was the teaching in my courses and my digital projects that were the passion of, like, showing up and really allowing people to create that freedom for themselves. Really being able to show people that it's like, you can monetize anything. I always tell people I can put 2 pennies together and make $100,000.
Rub them quick. You rub them fast.
It's really just like, that is my passion of really helping other people to understand that and teaching. Because again, even prior to Airbnb and real estate, I'm speaking on stages, I'm facilitating workshops, I'm at conferences. So that is what I wanted to ultimately get back to. So that's why I really started scaling back my properties of, like, okay, I really don't want, because the more that I continue to scale, the further I'm going to get into it, the deeper and more specialized. Because that's just how I am. Like, who knows? Next, I would have pulled out a linens company. No, I don't want to do that, but it would make sense. Again, it would only make sense because, again, like, I'm very much into, what is it called? Is it like vertical business integration of just, you know, businesses that work together. I'm not about to have a tax business and then do lashes on the side. That doesn't make sense. So that's why I've started scaling back. So I no longer have the 5 apartments. With the housing market, the rental arbitrage unit I had, they ended up wanting to sell the houses. They're like, okay, you paying us really good. You always on time. You're paying more, but we can sell this house right now and get $200,000. So deuces. Yeah. So I was out of that unit. So now I still have my investment property. I still have the tiny house, and I still have 1 apartment located in Midtown.
So
exactly.
That's good.
3. At the peak of it, I had 8. I had the 5 apartments units. I had the tiny house, my house, and then the rental arbitrage. So at the peak of it, I had 8 units, and it was great. But for me, it was fine. But again, you talk about oversaturation, number one, in terms of real estate and buying. But even furthermore, the pandemic created so many hustlers.
Yeah.
Like
for
new
sure.
business owners.
For sure.
And
that's
so
what companies are really talking about.
Exactly.
They can't find anyone to work for them
because everybody's hustling.
Yeah.
Getting PPPs and shit. Like,
come on, PPP. 3 P's. Push a P.
So, yeah.
I think that's great. So something else I think we could talk a little bit more about, because you touched on it, it's scaling your business. A lot of people look at, like real estate and all these other things. People necessarily may not go into real estate saying, I want to be the realtor. No. You go into real estate saying you want to be a broker or an investor, because you understand there's more money in you scaling your business to where you teach people a profitable skill. They work for you very, very well. They teach those people underneath them a profitable skill. And that's how you build an empire, right? Absolutely. So when you think about really your brand, because a lot of times people don't recognize that being a person as a coach as well too, like your social media can create a platform for you to teach other people.
Absolutely.
And that can make you so much money. You see these people in trucking, real estate, stocks and bonds. That's how they're making good money, is by teaching people.
Teaching other people, it supplements the income that you're getting from those passive vehicles, right? Like people always like to talk about this passive money. Yeah. Money in my sleep. That's the money like real estate, like a long-term tenant or Airbnb, but you have to supplement that with the active. And a lot of people, like you already said, they supplement that in a way where, okay, I've succeeded in one thing, let me go out here and teach somebody else who wants to know it. And everybody can do that. I feel like sometimes we tend to overthink it of like, well, I didn't do this and I didn't do this and I didn't speak at this conference. Am I really a subject matter expert? Everybody is a subject matter expert on something. Everybody. You need to think about, what are your friends asking you about? How are people reaching out to you? What is that topic that people just cling to you for? And for me, that was always money and marketing. People would come to me like, I know Precious is going to tell me how to make some money. And I know Precious is going to tell me how do I get my resume, LinkedIn.
Money maker.
Pressure that one.
She'll teach you how to get that.
I think that's what we really need to hone in on as well for the audience. You have to be a subject matter expert, not someone who learns for a couple of weeks and say, I got the hang of this.
That consistency
Let me flip it
piece
and turn it into a coach. Like, no, y'all gotta understand it yourself.
The real versus fake.
Okay. Because Instagram will show you. The numbers will show you.
You'll make this much money doing this. And this is what you gotta do. But they put in the time and the work behind that.
Yeah.
So that needs to be stressed.
Did you guys see that one post before we go more into this? Did you see that one post where it's like, if I can complete this task in 30 minutes, pay me for my 30 minutes to do it. Rather than, because it took me 10 years to know how to do this now in 30 minutes. It's the concept of people being able then to be a true subject matter expert in something and having the skill set behind them will then allow for you're getting your money's worth and pay them their price for it, right? Because knowledge is power. And just to that point with social media, because y'all know I said this last week, social media is fake. Okay? Sometimes it can be fake. All right? It's cool. I love it. I learned so much, but sometimes it could be fake. So I want you to tell people, because Precious has built a very, very large and actual engaging following on TikTok, Instagram, and all. I think were you on Clubhouse at one point too? You were on Clubhouse, and as well too, was it Periscope? What's the other one as well too? I feel like P that you had. Was it just those 3? Yeah.
I have a Twitter. I mean, I'm
Twitter.
Everything.
She's everywhere. She is.
That's what I've been actually obsessed with lately.
Twitter?
Influence? No, not how much they're capitalizing.
Oh, so much money.
I follow this shorty specifically, and she talks about how much she makes in $438,000 brand deals. Bringing in $500,000 from TikTok and Reels, and it has been on my mind.
Incredible.
And I want to be a part of it.
Yeah. Kiara said, I would like to know. So, really, tell people the nuggets about how do you build the best platforms, one, to market yourself on. That's the first thing. And then how do you truly build a natural following? Because that's important. You want your people to engage with you, not buy fake followers. I know
So number one, when we say best platform to engage on, that is going to be dependent on whoever you are talking to.
Okay.
You need to think about who your audience is. So if I'm sitting here and I'm saying like maybe my audience is, because I will be honest, like a lot of my audience is older than me. They're like middle age, like 30s to 40s. If I am targeting them, I might want to be on YouTube. I might want to be on Facebook. I might not be on Snapchat.
Right.
I mean, I feel like everybody needs to be on TikTok at this point because everybody's on TikTok. It's now similar to Facebook.
Yeah.
But it's going to be dependent, like that best platform is going to be dependent on you. So when I say like choosing a platform, you just need to choose one. Because we try to like, okay, I'm going to try to master Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and I'm putting it everywhere. Master one first. Master one and think about where is my audience. I think that's the number one piece, and then it flows into my next response to your other question of how do you really start building this, making money, building a brand. There's 3 pieces, I would say. So number 1, value. Number 2, focus. And number 3, community. Value, focus, community. Remember that.
Value, focus, community.
Exactly.
Bold it.
So
in your notebooks.
When we think about value is what the question that I asked earlier of, okay, like what do people come to you for? What are they asking you questions most about? What are you a subject matter expert on? This does not have to be engineering, real estate. This could be, I'm a subject matter expert on relationships. My friends are always hitting me up, asking about they ain't shit ass man. And I give the best advice and they always know that I'm gonna give it to them real. That could be your subject matter expert. Right. That could be your subject matter expertise, I would say. So when we're looking at your value, that's what you need to think about. For anybody, this could be anything. This could be photography, videography, interior decor, whatever it is, you need to have some very specific value, right? And then from that point of having that value, like, okay, I have something that I'm able to teach other people, show other people I have experience in, you transition to focus. Meaning, again, what I already stated, choose one platform. How am I going to market with this? Like, I'm not about to create a course and a podcast and the website and do this and do that. Focus. Focus is required, right? So when we say focus, it's like, what is the one thing that I'm going to consistently show up in? When I first started, for me, this was speaking, podcasting. That's why I have my podcast, The Strategy Behind Branding Yourself. This is why I also started going and speaking on YouTube and just posting like how I was speaking. Any events I had, I put them on YouTube, and that's how people started to really identify my brand. I'm talking about marketing, money, and mindset because that is the value that I bring. You see how it's the value is the money, marketing, mindset. The focus is, okay, I'm doing this through my podcast. I'm doing this through YouTube. I'm doing this through, right now, it's primarily, I would say, video content. I tend to go live a lot on Instagram and all of that. So I really love to just talk. That is my focus. And then you think about community. Who is the very specific community around this topic and this value that I've identified? I'm not trying to get at everybody. I'm not trying to get at my family and my friends. Like, hey, can y'all download? Can y'all buy it? That's not my community.
And you need to say that again for people because people get so mad at their friends when they don't support necessarily their business type. And sometimes your friends is not, that's not your audience.
But shouldn't they be?
No.
That's your friend.
No.
That's the one.
No.
I can, supporting you is different than being a part of your audience.
Yeah.
Like if I'm your friend and you're saying that you talk about, I don't know, what's something that I don't really talk too much about, or you talk about construction all the time, right? And you're somebody who is like, this is really my value, all of that. Hey, tune into my podcast about construction. I'm selling orange vests and shit. Just because
orange vests. I bet they look fabulous.
Just because I'm your friend doesn't mean that I have to do. I can certainly share your post. Support is not just money. I can share your post. I can tell other people about it, and that is still supporting. But I'm not your audience, so why would I go out and I'm not going to waste my money to just have it sit? You need, when people say like, oh, well, my family and friends are supporting me, you are not doing the real work to identify who your audience is. You need to get very specific. You need to niche down. This is, for instance, when people are like, oh, I sell t-shirts. Everybody can buy a t-shirt. Okay, but who is the specific person that is going to enjoy that t-shirt, what it says, the feel of it, and all of that? Everybody uses toilet paper, but I'm damn sure not about to go buy no Scott.
Period.
Me neither.
Like, again, Scott has a very specific audience versus Charmin. You know, Charmin is the soft. It's going to be in the home.
I like how it feels on there.
And then,
I like how it feels, you know?
Scott, you find in the airport, you find in public places because it's gonna flush easy. They have it, but again, they're succeeding because they have a specific audience.
Yeah.
So that is really when you're thinking about, okay, how can I build a true successful monetizable brand? I need to have and identify my value. I need to have a focus, and I really need to know who my community is and how I am pushing this. Build a community around it first. I'm not saying get a community and push to them. No, because that's too much of what we try to do. You try to promote and get money immediately first. Yeah. I don't even know you like that. Why would I give you my money? Right. Tell me about it. Like, you need to go out here and do what I like to call social selling. Social selling is just meaning I'm just talking about me and I'm talking about my experience. And just as a byproduct of that, you're hearing about what I sell, but I'm not directly selling to you like, hey, buy this. You're going to want to buy it because you're more intrigued by my conversation and the relationship that we might have. That is how you do it. That is how you successfully do it. Wow.
And the thing about it, I think, is great that you mentioned how Charmin, you know, that's something, you know, we use it. But then also, too, you know, Scott. It's Scott, okay. But the thing is you notice those are two competitors, right? But they can still live in the same atmosphere. Why is that? Is because there is a niche that they are a part of, and they sell very, very well to their niche. Right. And I think that it's an incredible thing because there are a lot of coaches on Instagram, on Facebook, on what is it like Kaleidoscope? There's another platform that a lot of people. Thank you, Periscope. That's a really big platform for some of the influencers right now. For real. So there's that, as well as TikTok, right? Like, there are so many different types of coaches that they have their own kind of like niches of how they like to connect with their people. And I think that it's a great thing when you're looking at these people, though, to see what aligns with you, your values, what it is you want to get accomplished, and what it is that, you know, you essentially can see yourself doing. Because I think sometimes people want to see themselves in a coach, right?
Absolutely. That's the main piece. And that's why you see so many coaches, right? Like, and typically I I don't know. Right. You have to use your own discernment in terms of like whether or not this coach is really about what they're doing, or they just showing you some shit that's gonna make you buy it. Yeah. But this is why you see so many coaches now and on Instagram selling you their lifestyle. They're not selling results. They're not showing you money. They're not showing you all of the work. They're showing you, because
the data doesn't lie. Numbers don't lie.
Exactly. Like, I'm on a beach and I'm working. Like, wow, I love the fact that I can just work from the beach and work from anywhere. I got this Lambo. Let me show you this. Let me show you all my nice Turo cars that I got. No money down. Like, they're showing you the lifestyle. They're not really selling you the actual result. They're not. Many of them aren't even showing you the result. Yep. But so many of us, because that digital age we're in and what we were talking about earlier, we fall into the lifestyle of it, like, oh my God, yes, like, because we're comparing. I was like, wait, I don't have a Lambo. Right. I don't have a nice Tuesday morning where I'm just going to go fly to Punta Cana. Like, I want to do that, and that's what you all buy. You buy into that. You're not necessarily buying the product like, oh, I really want to get into Airbnb. No, you really want to make some money, and you want that lifestyle to wear that Chanel purse.
But you don't know what people had to do to get to that Chanel purse or what their pathway looked like, right?
But it's important for them to show. It's important for them to show that. And I think it's hard. And I also think it's very misleading when so many people sell this lifestyle. They show these purses, they show the nice cars, they show all of this, but they're not actually giving real value. They're not actually telling.
That's so crazy.
They're not telling the real experience about it. Exactly.
You can obtain.
Or the other piece as well, when we think about like how do you discern between that real versus like that fake coach or that coach that is trying to just make some money off of you. Number one, how much time are they investing in you before you actually pay them?
Wow, that's a big one. That's big.
So I shouldn't be giving my money up front.
I mean, you absolutely can, but when I talk about investment, for instance, with me, like, I'm a coach and I've talked to many, many people. I've helped hundreds of thousands of people at this point sell and get started and teach how do you get started with Airbnb. And one of the main pieces that they really say is like, wow, people will get on the phone with me in terms of like an interview call for my course. And they're like, oh, you picked up? I didn't even know it was going to be you. I thought it was going to be some salesperson. That access to me is very important. Or even, for instance, it's like many people I connect with via my live videos and via my content well before they pay me. You can shoot me a DM and I'm going to answer the DM.
That's big.
Exactly.
A lot of people don't do that.
And that's how you are really able to discern of like, okay, am I really an expert in this? Because there's people who they will position themselves as an expert, but they do not really have an expertise in this industry.
Right. I'm saying there's just so many coaches. With that is is it a cop out in a way? It's like an easy way out to not do your own research. Like I'm about to spend all this money for a coach to tell me links to look at.
Now again,
that's my perception of what a coach does.
See, no, you have again that discernment, right? Because a coach, like a video, just letting you purchase into like some videos and audios that I did is much different than me actually showing up on a weekly basis. Hey, can I answer your questions? We're addressing roadblocks. We're actually mapping out an entire, okay, how am I going to hit this? That's
real coaching too.
Exactly.
Like the mentorship piece. Okay, yeah,
and
that's true.
A lot of people just have courses. They are not coaches. Right. They just have courses. And there's a major difference. So when you are a coach, you are actually showing up. You're doing what you said. You're teaching and you're showing them in a way that it's like, hey, I'm just translating my experience into a way that you are going to be able to do step by step. This is what you need to do. And I'm showing you, you do this and you're able to get what you need to get.
And is it a guarantee at the end?
I mean, it would depend because the guarantee depends on both you and me. I can give you all of the work. That's why I always say, people tell me all the time, it's like, you give out so much free game. You telling people everything. Absolutely, because I can tell all of y'all and only 1% of you will do it.
Period.
People want to put in the work. People want the lifestyle. That's a true point, though. People want the lifestyle. They want the profits.
Right.
But, you know, it takes a while even to get to that point. But as well, too, you have to put in the work to get there.
Right.
But, a major piece as well is like when you, the way that you market and you bring into people, right? Like those people who sell the lifestyle, you're going to get a very different person. They're going to show up very differently in your coaching program and all of that if you're selling the lifestyle. This is why I try not to sell a lifestyle. It's like, you know what I do, but you don't really know what I do. So I'm not going to sell you the lifestyle. I'm going to sell you the fact that it's like, hey, this is what I've been able to accomplish for myself. I'm not selling you the materials because those people who tend to get in it, if they don't get those materials and what you have very quickly, they're out. They're going to call you a scam, a fraud, all of that. When really it's like, you didn't put in the work. Like you said, like you don't see all of the years I put in. You got in and you thought that just doing these 10 steps was going to get it when I've been in this for years.
Right.
And you did a whole case against how you will be successful in it. I think that's important. So, okay, we're going to transition over just to ask a couple things that Key and I wanted to know about kind of the art of finesse, but as well too, finesse can mean something where it's done in a particular style that just encompasses something that it's well-rounded, it's properly thought out, and it could be something that's very strategic. And like you mentioned, it's better that these people are coming on in your coaching, you know, they kind of have that road to success, that type of, you know, okay, I get it, I do this, I do that. Well, you had to go through the trenches.
Yeah.
You had to figure that shit out. Yeah. So we wanted to ask you, P takes on a couple of things.
P takes.
Okay.
I like this.
P takes. Like second no, P takes.
No, P takes.
Yes. Okay. I like it. Triple P's. Okay. So Key and I'll do the first one, Key. Okay. So using social media algorithms. So algorithms, I heard someone the other day said they got shadow banned. Have you ever been shadow banned? What is, okay, can someone explain to me more about that concept and how you use algorithms to your benefit then?
So some people who try to hack the algorithm, typically those are the primary people who are getting this shadow banning, right? Meaning that you're trying to hack the algorithm and that, okay, I want everybody to see my stuff. I want, you know, all of this XYZ. Shadow banning at a very basic level means that you can post content, but for instance, if you put hashtags under there, if I click any of those hashtags, you're not showing up. You're only showing up for the people who currently see you, not the broader audience. That's pretty much what shadow banning is. Like people aren't really, as many people are not seeing your content as they typically would. And again, it usually happens when you are trying to hack the algorithm. Now, when we think about what the algorithm is and like at a very basic level, this algorithm, all social media platforms have an algorithm. They are an algorithm. The algorithm is pretty much showing you what they know that you are going to most engage with. So when people try to hack the algorithm, it's pretty much like you taking money out of the Facebooks and the Twitter pockets, and that's why they are then shadow banning. Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay.
I didn't even know
I love
that.
this.
So yeah,
because when I saw that, I was like, okay,
banning,
so they were shadow banned, so they
banning.
can expand, you know, their horizons of people that the farther reach that they want to get. Okay, okay.
And when you're playing into, like, for those that are like wanting to play into the algorithm or understand the algorithm a little bit more, specifically Instagram, this is the piece, the algorithm that everybody is usually trying to hack. With Instagram specifically,
Yeah.
In terms of like this algorithm, what they are going to do initially when you post a photo, they're going to show it to like typically it's about 10% of your audience,
just to see how much engagement.
Exactly.
You get.
And depending on
a lot of engagement, they'll expand more.
Exactly. So that is typically how it's working. So for those people again who are trying to hack the algorithm, it's like you're bypassing that entire step to see whether or not are people initially engaging with this. Is this actually interactive content that's going to keep my eyes on it? Because you got to understand, like, that's why so many of these video forms are getting shorter and shorter. Like initially it was like, okay, you get a 1 minute, then you get 30 seconds. Now there's reels going crazy that are all of 6-7 seconds because like our attention span is just decreasing. They want it to decrease because you're not going to look up more information. It's like, I'm going to watch a 7-second video of Black Lives Matter and buying a mansion. And oh my God, they bought a mansion.
That's all I need to know.
Yes. Oh my gosh, our generation. It's insane how social media drives so much of our knowledge
even
and conception.
Way it's like changing our ways.
Wow.
Our minds.
It's
crazy.
Interesting. It's very interesting. Watch The Matrix, y'all.
The Matrix. So next I wanted to ask you, you had mentioned at the beginning, like you balancing consulting as well as your entrepreneurship. Like you were always traveling on the weekends, so you didn't have any like anything to pay for concerning your house. And then, so what did that look like? What time did you wake up for your job, and what time did you end the day with your entrepreneurship?
I mean, it would vary in terms of wake up time, because I'm not one of those 5 a.m.
Thank you. Thank you. That's insane.
What? No, it's not.
Can't you be successful and still wake up at 8 a.m.?
I get up at 4:45 a.m. Y'all come up and get up there with me.
You have to understand those people that are waking up.
Not sleep.
Some people, we're all different, and everybody tries to find these hacks and these ways of like, how do you be successful? Wake up at 5 a.m. No, because that person who is waking up at 4 or 5 a.m., they probably had to go to sleep at 8 while I was up until 2 getting what I needed to do.
Right.
That's
or take a nap.
Right.
P and I were saying we got to take a nap.
They never said what time they're going to sleep. They just said that they wake up.
A lot of us who wake up, well, in my gym class, I know somebody who goes to sleep at 8 p.m. sharp every night to get up for 5:30. I go to bed at 12 every night. And my body wakes up naturally 5 a.m.
I mean, you'll start.
You naturally do that.
Your head down and you're waking back up.
I have to take a nap though.
Oh,
some people are different. Yeah, some people, I don't know. You heard when P. Diddy, he was like, oh, like people are sleeping right now. I'm already up getting to it. You are your most productive in certain hours of the morning.
You look tired.
You look tired.
Not you look tired.
And let's also acknowledge the fact that you got a whole team who's up working for you while you're asleep.
But how did you balance it for real? Because having a team is important. And then, because P, you didn't start off having a team all the time. Okay.
No, I was the team.
Come on.
Hey, this is the assistant. Hey,
she pick up the phone.
Hey, hello.
Drop the contract. Go see the house.
So if I'm being honest with you, and I feel like a lot of people are not honest, right? There was no balance. There was no balance. It wasn't like, oh my God, this is moving so smoothly. Like I stopped working here and then I do this and then, oh my God, like yes, and I got my Starbucks. No, it was not that perfectly well balanced. And even when people talk about like work-life balance and all of that, it's like there isn't necessarily a balance. I heard someone say before, it's like it's not necessarily this work-life balance or whatever balance you're talking about. It's a blend of like, okay, I got to blend with, my main job and my side hustle. It's not a balance. You are just working to find a better way to blend the two. So when I was working, it's like, like I had some long hours in my job. Long hours. So there were some days where it's like, if I'm not getting off work until, 8-9 p.m., no, I don't feel like going home and doing some work, but I might, do something, like listen to a podcast or something that's going to help me that next morning. But those days that I do have a little more flexibility, for instance, there are times where I might be working all day or I might be on the clock all day, but there's not too much going on. I'm able to do what I need to do. I'm taking a couple of calls. So that's how I was really able to do it. Like it came to a point in my career where I started to like get into the flow of things and saw that like, okay, well, if I put some time on my calendar and say I'm in a meeting.
You in a meeting?
I'm in a meeting. I am in a meeting.
You're in a meeting.
Maybe not yours,
but I'm in a meeting. Because again, as long as things are getting done, what's the problem? I'm doing everything that I need to do. So now, like again, it's just a matter of like I'm buying my time back. I'm getting it back. So for me, that's how I was able to do it. I started doing more of like my 9 to 5 work at night. Because, okay, I need the day to make these calls, try to find some more Airbnbs, try to talk to my clients. Exactly. So at that point, it's like, okay, I'm going to be working on, if I'm working on a presentation, and if I'm working on, a deliverable, I'm doing that at night. Yeah. So then once I present it at 10 a.m., I'm done between 10 and 2. So I can now have a meeting. So,
services based is such like a unique situation though, because there are a lot of consultants who then transition and like pivoted into entrepreneurship, because consulting teaches you such it teaches you really good skills.
For your 9 to 5 and making your own like consulting business on the side.
But you said a nugget I think people need to recognize. You were like, well, if I'm doing X, Y, and Z for my job too, to also help, because if you're going to be a subject matter expert in something, that means you're always constantly learning. You could be listening to a podcast of sorts about what's going on in the market. You're up to date with those type of things. I thought that was good too, because then that does show the blended integration that though you may be working for someone else at the time and doing that, you can still feed into yourself and your passions through smaller ways.
And a large piece that I want to mention as well, because this is something that like I was very heavy on, like spreading the message of you do not have to. I feel like so often, especially being millennials, right? Like we'll have a job, but it's like I'm passionate about something else, so I got a side hustle here, I got this, but you don't tell your job. And that's up to you, right? But I am somebody who is like, I don't want to hide my identities. I did it for a little bit starting out because I've been doing branding since college. So when I started out in college, it's like, okay, well, I'm trying to get this full-time job, so I can't let them see that I'm making this money on the side. So yes, okay, that makes sense to not do it. But once I got that job, and then even furthermore, in the midst of getting that job, like, they were able to look me up on social media and see that I've been speaking here, and here. You see that I have my own business, and you can ask about it, and I'm going to tell you, yeah, this is something that I'm passionate about, but you understand how they come together. Like, what am I learning now? Like, you don't necessarily need to say, like, yeah, I'm just trying to get this check and get the fuck out of here. You don't need to say that, but you need to say, like, okay, I really feel like I'm going to learn these things.
You don't need to say that. Don't say that. Please don't say that. Please don't say that. Please don't say that. Okay?
But, no, seriously, like, you understanding how your passions overlap is so important. So important. And if you want to go to my YouTube, bunch of gems on my YouTube. But understanding how those passions overlap is important, because that is what's going to help you to create this, I guess, unified identity online. It's so often that it's like people have one identity on their Instagram and Twitter, then you go to their LinkedIn and it's like,
do the photo. No, do it again. Because I literally
exactly like a LinkedIn.
Literally with like the water, like all the colors in the background. It's blue, it's gray,
and it's like, what the hell are you doing? Like you said you're some operations manager, then I go on Instagram and you shaking ass.
Shaking ass, taking names.
You can do both, right? Because
just taking names.
Understanding the concept of duality is important, and I feel like so often, again, even when we're thinking about Black people and women, we feel like we have to choose. But it's like you can only balance and play in between two worlds for so long, because you have to understand the limited resource that we all have is time. And that time that you're giving to your job is time that you could be used to invest and put more strategy into your business.
Time is so precious. Did you guys see what I did there?
I hate when people
Did y'all see that?
Precious.
Oh my God, Cliff, did you see that?
Time is
he's not even
so
smiling. It's funny. It's funny and it's clever. Go ahead.
So when you're building your brand, this is something that y'all said that it's totally fake. It's not real, but is that what you want people to take from you when they look at you and your brand? Like, what is the message that you want them to know about you?
Step into themselves and their own identity. That's all I've been doing. Like, if you're looking at like, oh, how did she do this money, this branding, all of that, it's really just a matter of continuously trying things. Like, I want you to look at me and look at my experience and everything that I've done and see that, like, wait, she went from doing this and she did this. And the power of pivot is what I need you to understand. Yeah. You see those P's again?
Yeah, that P.
Again, like, identify, like, really, like, okay, what is this identity that I want to take on? And it's not something that you're just going to know and say, ooh, eureka, I got it. It's a light bulb. Yeah. It's something that you are going to, hey, I think I want to try this for right now. I'll try it and understand that it's all right to change your mind. That is the main piece that you need to understand. It's okay to change your mind. And even furthermore, number 2, shortly after, how can I make money from this phone right here? Because again, you get those notifications. I hope y'all got them on. You should, of how much time you're spending on social media.
Yeah.
out of those 8-9 hours that you say, translate that to money, monetize it, right? Like out of those 8-9 hours, how much money did I make? Okay, how much is that hourly? Is that enough for me to be spending on it? Okay, then I need to.
It's not.
It's not.
I need to hop off. Like if you didn't make any money from that and all of that scrolling, then that is something that needs to be a goal of how can I at least figure out some way to show people and teach them like, okay, this is what I'm doing, and then you just running with it and you create a digital product or something. Just build. I would say first, just build a community. Build a community around who you are, because you are going to change. Like the same people who were buying my stuff in regards to branding and getting on coaching calls and consults with me are the same people who bought my Airbnb ebook too, Airbnb Money ebook too.
Consistent audience.
They're buying from you,
Right.
not the product.
Already from you telling us like your story, I know that you keep it very honest. Like you didn't pull a Jeff Bezos where you got this whole $20,000 loan to build your. No, you were sleeping on couches of your friends. You were going back home when you could to sleep there. Like it seems like you're keeping it very honest with your audience. And do you think like that also contributed, like the success is what contributes?
Absolutely, 100%. Because
the honesty is what contributed to your success.
Absolutely. Like a ton of people comment on that as well in terms of my honesty, because I'm quick to share my failures as well. Like my lessons learned. I wouldn't even call them failures. Like I'm quick to share my lessons learned in the bad as well.
Right.
Like I'm not just going to show you the highlight of all of my vacations and me making all of this money without showing you that these guests, you know, ran a car into my carport and knocked it off of the hinges. They came into my house and they completely scratched up all of my wood floors. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm not going to show you the good without showing you the sacrifice you need to make with it, because I never want somebody to look at my story and just think it was handed to me. I've been in this and I've been putting years in this. At this point, I am now 26. I've been putting years in this for 10 years.
I know, that's right.
Period.
So again, like you said earlier, it's like you're not paying. So if you saying like, okay, to hop on the phone with me 30 minutes, it's like it might be $100, $200, but you're not paying me for the 30 minutes. You're paying me for the 10 years I just did. That's important. What you're paying for.
So usually when I have, well, that's a great explanation. I really appreciate that. This is my thing with entrepreneurs. Y'all are really go-getters. Like y'all wake up and it's what y'all got to do is on your mind, and you don't spend your money unless it's towards the business. But also, we got to recognize that relationships are very important. Not just like your contractor, but it could be your friends who are in a totally different business. Like that could be useful as well, and that relationship needs to be cultivated. How can you maintain those relationships, or how do you maintain those relationships that don't have anything really to do with your business, but they can contribute in some type of way, or maybe just be a friend in general? Like how do you make sure you balance what you want to do with growing your success and your money, and also balancing in terms of friendships and lifestyle?
Schedule it into my calendar.
Okay.
That's typically the type of people we are. Like when you're like some type of go-getter, when you're a person, you got a business, it's like you have so much going on, it needs to be in the calendar, and if it's not in the calendar, I'm not doing it.
Right.
So my friends know, it's like when you hit me up, send me a calendar invite.
Okay.
Yes.
And how far in advance do you gotta know?
I mean, we could squeeze something in. But
Hey girls night. What time? What are we doing?
What time? Address.
Do I have to go to the liquor store to put the time in?
Need to put that in. 30 minutes.
I would say I need at least 72 hours.
72 hours? That's not bad.
My friends know you can't hit me on
Anybody need that.
Tuesday. Like,
Anybody need that.
because we grown, it's a lot going on, and I'm really starting to realize just how much you balance as a real adult. Like this birthday was when I really came to terms. Like, okay, like we're the new adults. Like we the ones gotta handle holidays and all this. Like it's scary. I'm no longer just like a young adult, and I'm just coming to terms with the fact that I'm no longer a college girl, and I've been out of college like 5 years.
Exactly.
And it's crazy. So it's just like, yeah, that's it. I ain't even got no more to say.
Just schedule it.
Like schedule
on my
it.
calendar.
Schedule it. Exactly. And like
I know, because Toby blowing me with telling me about her birthday, and it's March, and I'm just like,
And y'all gonna come.
How
But making sure that people are available. She does a good
smooth.
job.
It really is smooth going into it. There's no like, she didn't tell me this is the fits, this is what we gotta do, I gotta buy this. No, it's like, I've been knew this. I've been knew about that. So that's, you know, it is nice to know.
The other piece I would like to mention as well, because you mentioned this piece in regards to like, what if they're in different industries? What if they're not necessarily doing what you do? I do believe that relationships are transactional. You never want to be in a relationship, a friendship, or whatever, where you're the only one making deposits. Nobody is giving you anything deposit. Like, you can never withdraw. You're always just making deposits. So relationships are transactional. It's just understanding that even though they are transactional, it does not always have to translate to a monetary transaction. I have many friends who is like, we play in completely different fields, but they are the pieces of like, they hold me together emotionally. We're able to connect, and this is the person that I could travel with. There's some commonality, but I definitely think that it's important, especially for people who are balancing a lot of businesses, you have a lot of success, to discern the people around you and the type of transactions that you all are able to give one another, because there are going to be people who come around you and they just want to be around you because they see you up next.
Talk about it. Coat. What do they call those again? There's a couple of names. It's like coat riders. I don't know, y'all. What they be calling them nowadays. So many different. There we go.
Then that brings me to the next point. Really, like, how do you? So you really started like 2018, 2019. It sounds like before you were kind of always doing something. But when you started getting like more into your passion and just started grinding more every day. How did your friends feel about that, and what boundaries did you have to set to show them like, this is the new me, this is what I'm going to be doing? Either you're with me, or you gotta find something else to do.
I mean, so there were definitely people around who were like, "Oh, you're working too hard," or like, "Oh, like come on, come have fun." And I really remember being in college,
working too hard. They said that.
Girl, I don't know what you want to do, but I'm gonna get this money.
Yeah, they said that.
I'm gonna get this money. So either way, even back in college, I remember like there were days like I'm missing out on a big, Greek party because I gotta study for a test. I got something to do. I'm working on something. So that's just like I will say I definitely had to set boundaries. In terms of how I set those boundaries, it was really just helping them to understand the goal that I'm working towards. And people always know. I said like by 30, I'm not trying to be working. So I'm doing all of this now, so that by 30 I can do what I really want to do, which is nothing, and that's all right.
And that's okay.
Nothing.
That's beautiful.
I just want to speak.
A soft life. A soft life is more than
slow living. Just nice.
Like, because
actually live your life.
The major, like, and I had put something on Instagram that a lot of people resonated with, but it's like, you got to realize, right? Like, we always have these tasks, we got these goals, we got to do this, I got to do that. I am a human being, not a human doing. How can I focus more on being? And in order for me to focus on more being, I need to be by my damn self. So, boundaries. Yeah.
Put it on my calendar.
Put it on there. We'll see it.
That's really great. Back to the finesse. What do millennials call it? Finesse.
They call it finesse.
Oh, working smarter and not harder.
Yeah. We said that in undergrad. Is that not a term anymore?
I love that term. Actually.
Okay, thank you.
Clip that term. Work smarter, not harder. That's what I feel like I'm doing with my job right now.
Yeah.
Like, and they're paying me way more to not do as much labor as I did when I wasn't getting paid nearly as much, but was putting in longer hours. So that really is, if you can work smarter instead of harder, then I think that's what you should be doing.
The goal is to get your time back.
Back.
Like, what would Maxine say?
I'm
reclaiming my
time. Reclaiming my time. Who knew that would really? It's
timeless.
Exactly.
We can't get it back. It's like the highest commodity.
Yeah, like people always say, like, what is the most valuable thing? Like, it's not money. It's time.
Right.
Like, that is the one thing that is like, it's consistent. Like, this window of opportunity in terms of like time and even furthermore your life, on a consistent basis, no matter what you're doing, that window is closing and getting shorter.
Yeah.
You have to understand that, and that in itself should create some type of sense of urgency for you to get the fuck up and figure it out.
Right. Yeah, our time on
that's
the
very
earth
true.
is very limited. No matter what you see, like the 1% doing, creating whatever
on a
to
boat,
make you live longer.
On a boat.
Moving to space.
On a boat.
Time is limited, y'all.
A boat.
On a boat.
That was really great. That was really great information. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. Okay, so to close this out, we have a soundbite. What is one thing like down the road I see myself doing?
Yeah.
Like we can say, because I know you just mentioned
like
30. So 26 now. So you could say 30 still be maybe something else that's more specific too. So down the road I see myself, other than being on a boat.
Yeah. Down the road, I see myself with a talk show.
Oprah.
Ah,
We want to be in the audience. You get a car.
Big money right there.
He gonna be like, you get a tiny home. You get a tiny home. You get a tiny home. I know that's right. Point it out. Come on.
Yes.
In my community.
I'm really interested about the tiny homes thing.
We gotta talk more
Is
about
that
that.
for
That's so fun.
minimalist or is that for everyone? Because I need my.
You'd be surprised. Tiny homes and accessory dwelling units, they can be up to like obviously the term changes, right, based on the parameters, right? Because I think it's like a tiny home is less than like 500 square feet, and then when you look at a micro home is like, okay, it's less than 1,500 square feet. An accessory dwelling unit, a container home, all of these have their own parameters. But I said that to say that like there are micro homes that people have that they call them micro, which everything is micro in relation to something else, right? But these micro homes, they're 1,500 square feet. My 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom is about 1,700 square feet. So it can be the size of a house. But I will say, like, in terms of if it's gonna be micro, if it's gonna be tiny, Leah, you gotta do a little.
You gotta commit to
minimalist.
it. Yeah.
And that is why I don't live in my tiny house.
Okay, yeah. Van life.
Gotta commit.
That's what it sounds like. It's
I love it. Key, where do you see yourself?
No, I'm kidding. No,
we want one.
No, I want one. I really do. That pulls up to my house. Like,
Period.
That would be. Oh, I would like to. In the long term, I would like to work for myself. Yeah,
Yes.
I don't want to put more money in a CEO's pocket that I never see. Like I don't want that or work and someone stressing me out. Someone who is slightly older than me and we have no kind of familiar connection, like giving me stress. Like, who are you? But
Not who are you?
Not
who are you?
I would like to own a gym with my homegirl, my cheer sister Morgan.
Shout out
to a cheer gym. So talking to y'all really got my juices flowing because this one chat is chugga. It's doing all the
You
work
said
and it
chugga,
can't
chugga.
do so much. So I really appreciate talking to people like y'all, even Utah.
Wait.
So that's why I see
He
myself
gets such
definitely.
Oh my God.
Definitely.
He gives me such shit because I be pushing her. She's like, where do I see myself on a boat? Duh. No, but I really think it would be super. I like to think about things in a relational standpoint that, okay, I know maybe I'm not the most passionate about it, but I'm passionate about the outcome it provides.
Yeah.
So, i.e.,
Yeah.
my trucking business. Like, I've been am I super passionate about like transporting cookies?
Right,
No.
right.
But what am I passionate about is providing opportunities to people who may have been, felons or may have been in underprivileged areas, or giving opportunities to people who want to then one day become trucking business owners, right? Like giving that level of support, that level of entrepreneurial, like each one teach one. I think that's where I want to be in my future, is because I have a more appreciation for being a blessing or a vessel for others. That's something I'm realizing as I get older. It's the money is great. I make great money. You always find money. And that's something else too. People
money for everyone.
Money,
Everywhere.
literally, you always find money. And at the end of the day, I'd rather do something that more so is about my impact rather
Yeah,
than
definitely.
just about my dollar amount every
Income.
time.
That
So-
income and impact. Right.
Gotta be like that. Okay, you guys. Well, this was so fun. We love Girl Power episode. Yay! Girl Power! Look, I was trying to grab P's head. Look at her nails, though. They're cute, though. I love them.
Look at them.
Okay, so thank you all again for tuning in. Make sure, P, where can they follow you?
Oh yeah, where can we find you?
Yes, you can find me everywhere at Precious C Price. Just everywhere is Precious C Price. You can just Google Precious Price. All of my stuff will pop up. YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Clubhouse. Invite me to a room. I haven't been on there lately.
I wonder how they're doing over in the clubhouse.
Yeah. And then, of course, if you are wanting to learn more about Airbnb, short-term rentals, and really just making money overall, you can follow Airbnb Money on Instagram, and that is where I drop pretty much all of the information.
All the gems.
All the gems.
Airbnb money, Precious Price.
Precious C Price?
Precious C Price, Precious
Or
Price.
Precious Price.
They gonna if you look up,
Precious
I took Precious Price too. I believe I took Precious Price _
Okay.
So if you look at it, it's gonna take you to my main page. So
okay, we love it. Okay, well, thank you so much, Pushin' P. We had so much fun today. All right. Okay, until next time, you all. Bye.
You are now tuned into the Milk and Honey Podcast.
All the money in the world couldn't even amount to a teaspoon of honey when it melt in your mouth.